Developing tonight, new details emerging about Donald Trump's busy Wednesday. It began with that visit to Mexico City. In the aftermath of his meeting with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto, the two men singing a seemingly harmonious tune.
I do recognize the fundamental right that each of the countries has to defend its border. I also believe that a true effort of collaboration between neighbors and allies is the most effective road in order to achieve this.
Having a secure border is a sovereign right and mutually beneficial. We recognize and respect the right of either country to build a physical barrier or wall on any of its borders to stop the illegal movement of people, drugs, and weapons. Cooperation toward achieving this shared objective.
Prior to those remarks, the two men had agreed apparently they would not mention paying for the border wall. So Team Trump says they were surprised when Peña Nieto tweeted soon after, quote, "At the beginning of the conversation with Donald Trump, I made clear that Mexico will not pay for the wall." All right, that tweet reportedly angered Trump so much that he reinserted this key line back into his immigration speech.
We will build a great wall along the southern border, and Mexico will pay for the wall. 100%. They don't know it yet, but they're going to pay for the wall. And they're great people and great leaders, but they're going to pay for the wall.
Yikes. All right, joining me now, Chris Direwalt, Fox News digital politics editor, and Rich Lowry, editor of National Review and Fox News contributor. Great to see you both.
Hi there.
Hi, Shannon.
All right, Chris, to read the behind the scenes of how they negotiated this whole thing where no one's going to talk about paying for the wall. This is just a first initial meeting. And to hear then that the Mexican president brought it up right away, and Rudy Giuliani, who was there with the Trump side of this, stopped right away like, no, we're not going to be talking about that. They played so nice at the meeting or the public part after the meeting. But, man, it got ugly really quick after that.
All right, so it seems like the key moment was that Trump was asked the question about, by the way, Mr. Trump, you say that you're going to build, not just build the wall, but make Mexico pay for it. And here we're talking about, tens of billions of dollars. And Trump said it didn't come up. Didn't come up. The wall didn't come up. And then afterwards, the Mexican president obviously felt obliged to say, well, no, it did come up. I brought it up at the very beginning and told him we wouldn't be paying for it. So this then gets the counterfire from Trump, who says, oh, no, you're going to pay for it. You don't know it yet, but you're going to pay for it. And this is the thing that's challenging when you try to have a bifurcated day like Trump did. Mm-hmm. He wants to have a beginning of his day where he's cool, where he's on the international stage. He's got a nice green backdrop there. It's very mild and mellow. And then he's going to come back to the United States. He's going to go to Arizona. He's going to hang out with Joe Arpaio and Jeff Sessions. He's going to talk hot about illegal immigrants and rapists and murder and all of this stuff, all the hottest language possible. So when you try to do it both ways, you end up having a little bleed over from one to the other.
But, Rich, that Wednesday night speech is exactly how he won the primary. Millions of people like what he has to say about immigration. They voted for him. And maybe he felt like after some people were saying he got owned by the president, the Hillary Clinton team was saying, he showed that he doesn't understand how to do foreign policy, and it blew up in his face. What other choice did he have but to go to the wall Wednesday night?
Well, that speech, and I think, Shannon, you're absolutely right, but you have to underline that phrase. It's how he won the primaries. Mm-hmm. And he's now trying to win a general election, which is a different animal. And I thought that speech on the substance was utterly sound and unassailable. But the tone was very much a primary tone. And I think, going to Chris's point about the bifurcated day, if you're going to go to Mexico to look statesmanlike, well, sound statesmanlike in your policy speech in the evening as well. And I think that's where he made a mistake. He shouldn't have given the speech at a rally setting. Should have been in front of a think tank audience where he didn't feel obligated to play to the crowd and could have projected much more of a sense of sobriety and restraint, because he's not losing this race on the issue so much. He's losing it on demeanor and the perception that he doesn't have presidential qualities. So it doesn't make any sense to have this lightning strike into Mexico, which works, and where he projects all those qualities, and then to do something totally different at night.
All right, Chris, king of the crosstabs. I want to talk to you about some polling stuff. Fox News Latino poll shows that Hispanic registered voters favored Clinton 66% to Donald Trump's 20%. Is he helping or hurting himself this week?
Okay, look, Donald Trump is not going to win the election with the support of Hispanic voters. That's not how he's going to do this.
But he needs a good chunk of them.
Nah, Mitt Romney only did 25%. Donald Trump's going to do worse with Hispanic voters. He's going to do worse with black voters and all non-white voters, presumably, than Mitt Romney did. His key is that he is trying to juice white turnout. He is trying to juice the turnout of blue-collar white voters who stayed home, by the way. And there is real evidence that blue-collar white voters, especially in the upper Midwest, stayed home. And so he's trying to get there the other way. However, he has to do it with the other part of the Republican coalition, and that's college-educated white voters who vote for him, who are supporting him in large number. But he needs to get back to those Romney-sized numbers with those voters if he wants to do it with the blue-collar whites. The key in the outreach, whether it is with Mexico talking about and cementing his shift on deportations, or whether he's talking to black voters in Detroit or elsewhere, the key is convincing college-educated white voters that he is not racist. He is not what they say he is.
And Rich, quickly before we're out of time, he is making this visit this weekend to Detroit to stop in at an African-American church to be interviewed by the pastor there. What sort of risk-reward situation is he walking into there?
Well, it's a little bit like the trip to Mexico. If something blows up, it's going to be really bad. But if he performs ably, it's going to be good for him. And I think anything the campaign can do to get him in different settings where he's not in front of big rally audiences and when he's shouting is very good for him. So I think it's right that they're being a little more imaginative and mixing it up. And now it's a question of whether he can pull it off in performance.
We'll be watching. Rich, Chris, great to see you both.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. All right, up next, Hurricane Hermine leaving a trail of destruction in her wake. One person is dead, hundreds of thousands still in the dark. We're going to take you on the ground in Florida as that state begins to clean up. Plus, while Obama's approval ratings are sky high, some of his major policies look to be tanking. Should Donald Trump be doing more to tie Hillary Clinton to the current administration's trouble? Charles Krauthammer is here with some surprising recommendations. Next.